And finally, I've just got home after a very busy couple of days, a news that you would have seen circulating around the media anyway. And I thought, it's such a positive news. We have to report it. I have to come online and express my satisfaction, gratitude to the club, my, all my thanks to the owners of Man United. André Onana is finally out of my club. Super happy about this piece of news. He should have been gone. First person out of the door in the summer transfer window, but it didn't happen. And it took a performance against Grimsby, which even now, I just struggle to find words to explain that performance. From a professional keeper, somebody who's earning six figures a week. I believe André Onana is now, I'm not sure if it's the second or third season, but he's now on, or he was on £120,000 a week. I think when he signed, he was on 140,000. But somebody on over £100,000 a week salary puts in a performance like he did against Grimsby. Absolutely outrageous, atrocious. He's finally out of our club. I understand, again, it's nothing personal. It's certainly not personal from me. I'm sure it's not personal from most of the fans. He comes across as a likable character, as a good guy. We've heard reports that he's a great guy to be around, but in not in the sticks for Man United. His character, his skill set. I think very few players move out of Man United because they were not good enough. I think Onana is definitely one of those players where I don't think he was ever skillful enough to be at Man United. And worst of all, he was certainly not skillful enough to take the place of one David De Gea. So for this video today, I can't help but mention David De Gea. I can't help but bring up some comparisons. And let's get into it. André Onana, Premier League stats. He has 72 appearances in 2 seasons. Each season he's made 9 clean sheets, 102 goals conceded. Ladies and gentlemen, 72 appearances and 102 goals conceded. Terrible. If we compare that with David De Gea's last season, I don't have the numbers in front of me about the goals conceded, but his last season at Man United, where apparently sections of the fan base were calling for his head, section of the fan base, or certainly the media. I don't think much of this fan base was there, but yes, a few idiots on on camera and a microphone decided that it was now for one of United's greatest goalkeepers to hang up his gloves when he was still in early 30s. But anyway, his last season at Man United, which effectively cost him his place at Man United, he still kept 17 clean sheets. David De Gea. His Man United career stats, or Premier League stats, read 415 appearances and 147 clean sheets, of which 17 were in the last season. So that's 35% of matches that he's keeping clean sheets. At least 1 out of 3. And Onana, 1 out of 4. 25%. Huge difference. Huge difference. And a lot of people will go into other reasons. Sure, Onana has not been playing for as good a team over the duration and over the course of his career as David De Gea. But let's just compare David's last season was pretty much the same team, same manager. And now, when we talk about the manager, I was actually a fan of Ten Hag. I've got quite a few friends in the Netherlands, quite a few friends who, have followed Ten Hag's career from, um, as a player and then into a coach, just like the way that he manages, the meticulousness of his work, how detailed he was. I know Steve McLaren gave a very glorified report on Ten Hag, which again, it's all great. So I was always a fan. His work at Ajax spoke volumes, and I liked the football they played. But Ten Hag soon found out that at Man United we had issues. It was an open heart surgery, as Ragnick mentioned before. So Ten Hag had a lot of work to do. But nevertheless, I think he did well with the resources that he had at his disposal. However, and I stand by this, the reason Ten Hag had to go is the transfers. The transfers cost him, and we're going to be looking at the next part, the part of the open heart surgery, which Ragnick mentioned, which all the fan base talk about, and which I believe Amorim's now in the middle of doing. Okay. So Ten Hag's transfers is what cost him his job. No doubt in my mind for that. Let's look at the transfers that Amorim has had to make, and I'm going to focus on the transfers out to start off with. They read Garnacho, Anthony. Those are the two sales, and then a bunch of loanies. Rashford, Hoyland, Sancho, Ericsson, Lindelof, Evans, who's now retired, and now Onana. That's 9. Out of which Rashford Ten Hag inherited, and Lindelof Ten Hag inherited from Jose Mourinho. Okay, so Rashford was a product of our academy, but the rest of the 7 were all brought in by Ten Hag. Now, Evans, I've got no problems about that. Evans came in and he's now retired. But the fact that Ten Hag had to bring in Evans, who was already on the brink of retirement, as nice as it was a good touch. It was an emotional touch. I think United fans were behind it, but we were never really going to hang our hat on Evans, and he was never going to be, a solution. Certainly not in the long run. So that in itself screamed, panic when it came to Ten Hag. Garnacho is somebody else who'd like to talk about. Yes, he's from the academy. Ten Hag brought him on. Now, not saying he shouldn't bring him on, but didn't manage him appropriately and ended up creating problems for the next manager. So that's 6 to 7 players that Amorim's moved out, who were clearly players that Ten Hag brought in, and quite clearly, guys, even though I like Ten Hag, was simply not good enough for Man United. Anthony, how on earth has this guy ended up costing us north of 70, 75, God knows, some reports say 80 million? Absolutely ridiculous player. For me, Anthony goes down as one of the worst transfers in the history of Man United. No doubts. And Onana. Onana is definitely, as Nemanja Matic mentioned, one of the worst goalkeepers in the history. I think he mentioned he is the worst, statistically, the worst goalkeeper in the history of Man United, and he's not wrong. Like I mentioned earlier in the preview, not only is he statistically terrible, he looks obnoxious. He just doesn't look a natural as a goalkeeper. Physically, specimen wise, and again, I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to go into great details about how he should look, but he just looks very bulky, muscly on his shoulders, his arms. He's just very top heavy, which means that he's always seems to take ages to go down to shots. And very often, like he did against Grimsby, gets beaten with the ball very close to his body because he just doesn't get down in time enough. So super weird actions, the way that he tries to get back into goal, leaves. I don't think his positioning even is good. When we are lining up for free kicks, corners, never seems to take the conventional positions. Now, you can afford to not take conventional positions if you are an exceptional goalkeeper, not if you're Onana. So many times for free kicks, it seems to allow players to aim on the larger side of the goal and almost taunting them to play on that side. But I've never been confident that he was going to be able to get back into that side of the goal quick enough to save it had they got a shot on target. So anyway, Onana has been a disaster, and I'm very, very happy, glad to see the back of him. So just wanted to take to you guys and express my happiness, my satisfaction, and overall round off with Man United transfers this season. How would you guys rate this summer transfer window? Overall, for me, I'm very satisfied. It's not out of this world. I think adding a midfielder would have been the icing on the cake. But if anyone was going to hand me this transfer window at the beginning um, of June, July, I would have snapped their hands off. We've got rid of 9 players on loan. That's definitely an area I think we should have improved, and it would have been great if we did get more sales. But out of the 9 exits, we've had 2 sales. Garnacho going for about 40 odd million, Anthony going for about, I believe, 24, 25 million, or maybe 22 million pounds. I believe it was 25 million euros. So that's about 62 million pounds worth of exit, and probably about 219, 220 million of incoming. We focused on the forward line with obviously Embuemo, Cunha, Shesko, and Enzo Canabik as an apprentice, as a young player from, I believe, Le Havre, somewhere in France, 18-year-old player, which is a little bit concerning for Chido Obi. He was brought in by Eric Ten Hag, I believe, and doesn't seem to be given a great deal of opportunity by Amorim. So that's maybe one to watch. And the 9 transfers that we got out could easily have been 10. Bayendia, who's come in, who is again, ironically, another Ten Hag recruit. He's lucky to still be at Man United, but I think he deserves a bit of a chance. Certainly in comparison to Onana, who's been a disaster since he came in. Didn't have a good season, had an even worse second season, and let's face it, this performance against Grimsby will go down in history. So that's what cost him his transfer. I thought he was a dead man walking anyway, but maybe a little bit of a masterpiece from Amorim to let him have a go against Grimsby in the Carling Cup, knowing that that's just going. If there was any ounce of doubts in any section of the fan base, well, that was well and truly put away. Our fan base, the Man United fan base, the greatest, the biggest in the world, we're often divided on many issues. I can't imagine any one of us or any section is divided onto this. Onana has had to go out, and out he is now. It is a loan, so there's every chance he could come back, but I'm pretty sure and certain that he's played his last game for United already against Grimsby, and he'll never be putting on Man United top, at least not in the sticks again. So back to my original question to you guys, how do you rate the summer transfer window? Well, I'm pretty happy. Embuemo has already shown us why we bought him. I think even though a little bit on the expensive side with about, I believe, 64 to 65 million pounds, but he's shown the brightest. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he's probably been voted Player of the Month for Man United, Player of the Month of August for Man United. So congrats, Embuemo. Cunha came in, but for the injury, he would have played 3 full games. Good performances. Probably moments, individual moments, he has shown the brightest. Sometimes his ball carrying is just exceptional. He just drifts in and out of the game and not often, always, should I say, present, but that's going to happen. New players all around. And Buemo has had certain moments like that, but he seems to be hogging that right touchline, so players are finding him a lot quicker. Cunha playing a little bit out of position, in my humble opinion, often being played as a 9 with Mount on the left-hand side. I think once Sesko starts finding his feet, we'll start seeing Cunha in that left number 10 position where he'll be able to impact games a lot more. Benjamin Sesko got an assist for Slovenia, his country, a couple of days back. Happy for him. But he's not hit that ground running. He's not had a preseason with Man United, and there's a lot to come from him. His ceiling's super high. We've not seen anything yet. So I'm very happy with his purchase. And Diego Leon, very, very promising player. That left-hand side needed addressing. Amorim brought in Patrick Dorgo in January, one of only 2 incomings. Dorgu and who else? Aiden Heaven from Arsenal. Those were the only 2 players that Amorim brought in January, which was his first transfer window. And now in the summer transfer window, he's brought in 5 mainstays, one 18-year-old academy player, so 6 in total. And out of the 5, I would say 4 of them are first team players. Cunha, Sesko, Embuemo, top 3, and Lamens, hope I'm pronouncing his name well, Sané Lamens. Hopefully he'll be coming in as our number 1 goalkeeper now. I'm totally happy for him and Alter Bayindir to fight it out for the number 1 slot. I think it's only fair. Bayindir didn't have a good game against Arsenal at all. Certainly cost us 2 points, if not 3 points. And he's not looked steady, but his last game was good, and he deserves a chance. Look, he's come in as an understudy to Onana and not given much of a chance. Man United's not the place to be, for trying out things, but I think Bayindir, apart from the obvious, is clearly not the strongest physically and certainly not on crosses. But hopefully if he can kind of strengthen that area. The team and the coaching staff work on that area. They clearly seen, especially with the new rules in the Premier League this season. The rest of the refs are not going to take any prisoners. The goalkeeper needs to be strong, needs to stand his ground, dominate his area, come out, punch everything. If he punches players and takes someone's heads, so be it. Hopefully it's their positions, but he needs to be a lot stronger and a lot more dominating in his box. I think that's what this season the referees are working at. United need to ensure that their goalkeepers are doing that, and I think it's a it's a good period for United going into the rest of the season with Onana out. Um, Bayern is wearing the number one shirt for Man United. Hopefully, that brings him a little bit more confidence, especially with Onana going and a young goalkeeper coming in. Hopefully, that instills a little bit more confidence in Bayern. He's very good with his feet, and it's a little bit of a new era for him. So good luck to you, Bayern. But I also want Sané Lamans to be given a chance. I don't expect him to come in as the number one goalkeeper straight away, but he's a big character. His transfer choices have shown that he wants to play. He's not here to remain as a number two for long, and who knows, he might even be given the number one slot right away. So we're fully behind Amarim, whatever he chooses. We as fan base, me as a fan personally, I'm behind him, and I'm very happy with the transfers. Um, as I mentioned, Chido Obi, I'd like to see him get a little bit more game time. Up front, I think Xerxes is our number one striker at the moment. Sesko will come on. I think Sesko and Lamens will have a similar kind of trajectory journey at Man United since they've come on. So that will be pretty interesting. But look, guys, I'm super excited for the rest of the season. I'm very happy with the transfer window. I rate it a solid 8 to 8.5 out of 10. I know there's a lot of people being critical, especially, after the start of the season that we had. For me, these are armchair fans, not really understanding how critical, or how bad, you know, the team was, and how much of an improvement these new players are showing to be. Now, they're not all going to come in, hit the ground running, and push United into that top five spot straight away. They might do. They've got a fighting chance, but we've got to be behind them. The football that Amarim's playing looks good, not giving us the best of results. I think the Fulham game was the one which I'm most disappointed about. Arsenal was good. We didn't get our just results. We needed more impetus and cutting edge up front. And the last game, look, again, we grabbed a last minute winner, but I think we thoroughly deserved to win. And the Grimsby game, well, that's still a game. We had a lot of our we had a lot of our main players in it, but Grimsby game is all down to Onana. When your goalkeeper does madness like Onana did, I think it's very harsh on the rest of the team, or to punish the rest of the team. So that's my opinion. I'm super excited for the rest of the season, and I'd like to wish you all a good continuation. So keep supporting United. Let's be behind our manager, and come on, United. Take care.